right. Good morning, fellow Ugandans. Thank you so much for coming to this space. The second space, of course, we follow up from what we did yesterday. We agreed that will be speaking out about the amendments, especially about the move by Norbert Mao to change the constitution that deprive Ugandans of the rights to vote directly, and then give that powers to parliament. Like you see, yesterday, like Mao has been denying this, and we agreed that one of the preventive measures is to start mobilizing. And the purpose of this space is to mobilize ourselves, that we are ready. So we don't know how they are going to bring it. You see, Mao is trying to play. He's trying to play on our heads. You can hear what he spoke yesterday. Actually, he came out and said like we are discussing things that are not existing. Yeah, and all of us who have been here, we know how the government works, and we know that they don't want the population to know, so they just want to bring it by surprise and all that. So, however much we are not sure of when he's going to table it, but it is in the pipeline. They're cooking it, so we just have to start mobilizing ourselves. By the time they bring it on Parliament, on the floor of Parliament, population is prepared, ready, and able to stand against it. Unlike before, during the third quarter, where the members of the public were not able to stand and oppose the third quarter. So Ugandans only left that to members of Parliament who fought, physically fought in Parliament, but that wasn't now because the population were not able to stand with the MPs. So unlike that time, this time it has to be different. We have to fight. We have to mobilize the whole country to resist. And Mao knows this. He knows the kind of law he's bringing. He knows the kind of response he can get from the community when the community is mobilized and the country is mobilized. He knows that. So, and he knows what it takes. So we just have to mobilize ourselves. For me, I believe that if we prepare in time, we can even suffocate that thing before it comes. We can even suffocate it. We can. I don't know the kind of aggressiveness, but I'm just skeptical. If I don't know, but that's according to me. Sometimes maybe we can suffocate it from there before it gets out, or maybe when they bring it, they'll bring it in here, and they know how the population is going to react. So it all depends on us. For them, we know what they want, how they want it, and how aggressive they are. But they haven't seen a population that has responded to some laws, some bills. They have not yet seen that. So it's going to be now upon us to act. The reason why I also have tagged him is that whenever you share the space, it sends a notification to Norbert Mao. So whenever you share the space, it sends a notification to Norbert Mao. So it's going to be very easy for Norbert Mao to see and hear the space. Yesterday, in the yesterday space, he listened because he even quoted it on his timeline. That means he should know, and all his group members and the government officials must know that Ugandans this time are not sitting down. So this also sends a bigger message to other people in government that are, unlike before, Ugandans won't just sit or won't just leave it to the MPs as they are used. That when they bring anything they want in Parliament, to just pass because after all they have the numbers. So this time it should be different. We should mobilize. Some people are saying we wait for them to table it on the floor of Parliament. No, the conversation must start even before they table it. Awakening the population, charging the population to stand must continue to be our responsibility. So we're charging the population. We are educating ourselves how to fight when we are in this situation. How do we fight in this kind of situation? For example, if they bring it tomorrow and we are not prepared, we don't know what, and then they just bring it tomorrow, what do we do? You are there doing your things and maybe speaking this and all that, and then you see it on the order paper next day. What do we do? So we need to mobilize ourselves that the day it will appear on the order paper is the day Ugandans, whenever you see it on order paper, whenever you see it is going to be discussed, that's when we have to stand. That's when we have to, something like that. It's something that we have to talk about. So we'll start this conversation this morning. I would like to open up the space now. I see, guys, you are you are hitting Mao because as far as I'm cartoon, like as in carrying a snake. Then I see someone saying you're more than a snake and all that. So yeah, let him feel the hit before even he brings his amendment. And so one of the things that we do normally in mobilization is to to bring out a campaign. Normally, when you design materials, placards, when you design T-shirts, like you saw the T-shirt I made, I posted them yesterday, even today. Those ones help to mobilize. It's not just it helps to mobilize and to show that Ensongeri is serious. You know, so if you are able to make your own T-shirt, you're free to make a T-shirt and put things, the words that you want, and share it. It creates awareness okumanya, like to communicate nti ensonga eri serious and n'okukyajinga abantu okumanya nti kati tuba tusimbudde. So let us do what we can. You can design a manila paper and share it, hold it, and or rejecting it so that it creates immediate awareness. Population ekyajingirawo nga tetwali kulinda nti ate tugenda kulinda population ekyajingirawo. So that's what we can do. I'll open up this space for now. Like if you want to contribute from what you hear, from what you know, from what you have been saying, you can speak to us. There was also a protest yesterday. People from Murila, like 3 people from Murila were arrested for protesting against corruption. So yeah, it is good that something that we have wanted to see. When you see that there are protesters in Gulu, and now we have protesters in Iraq. So it's a good thing, and we hope that we can be having at least protesters in every part of the country, in those big districts, like northern Uganda and also in eastern Uganda. We can have many protesters. If we have many, that means anything that happens and then we communicate that this is happening, and Ugandans, please, this is the time, stand and all that. Like because information in Uganda doesn't flow so fast, so it becomes so easy. Like you can have other people in other districts that can be able to stand. So let us do what we can. Let us continue to hold these spaces, also speaking about it, posting about it, tweeting about it. And then at the moment, there's nothing so much trending. There's nothing big that is trending apart from Norbert Mao. There was something that was trending. Yeah. So Norbert Mao is the one that is trending. So we need to take that chance also to mobilize the country. Whenever, like you remember, in campaigns, when you are focusing on that campaign and it's trending, it helps your message to move. So now that Norbert Mao and his electoral reforms are trending, the campaign against the electoral reforms, Norbert Mao's electoral reforms, should also trend alongside him. You see, he's in papers. They're talking about him. People are drawing him in cartoons. I've seen even Ogona has drawn him in cartoon today. So that's where we start from. When something is trending, that's where also we take a chance to oppose it, and also the campaign also trends together with the same person. Now that Mao is trending, let also the march against amendment also should trend. So we reject his amendment even before he brings it on the floor of parliament. Let's reject it. Let's share. Let's make those tweets. Make those tweets. You can make your placards, share them also. You can do that. At the end of the day, we are trying to create many people to come on board. Creating a reserve force that anytime they can be deployed. That's what we are doing. So whenever I share the space, just know that Norbert Mao is getting a notification because I've tagged him up there. I've also seen something in Western Uganda where the people that were supposed to go, the ground where they were supposed to pray for the body, for the soul of the new deputy president of Western Uganda, police closed off and sealed off the place. And then I was reading through the comments in Secretary General Lewis Lubongaya's tweet, and I saw Kamoga. Kamoga is not here. Kamoga agambe Secretary General mulekera ukawa. Omukazi gwe mugira abadde revolutionary wano bali batakiriza mukwate kasiketi ye mugitwale wali mulumbe nampaka mugwe mbyokaba, and I liked that. So Kamoga wanajja wano, for me I just like that. Nti waliwo wukaba kati waliwo, for example, so tugamba nti okay batuganye, then kati what do you want us to do? Okitegeera batuganye, so what do you want us to do? Because yes babaganye, but you are a political party that is registered to do all the things legally, So we need to move. I don't know, we need to move from the kind of things, because that's how these people take advantage of us. Bwe bakola ekintu, someone agamba mwana olumu bakaaba nnyo. Yeah, that is too much, because like that's how Ugandans, that's how we are. Tukaaba nnyo. Ne baleeta bannaye kale n'abaana bakiisa, and they go away with that. You know, remember muri registered mulina abantu, that means you have the numbers. Nze James sina numbers, the party has numbers. Mukwate abantu bamwe abali mu Western Uganda bagambe mwenna mukwate kasikete no tugenda mu ground. Have you ever seen those protests in Arab countries where abantu bakwata might, omanyi abasilamu tebaziika mu coffin, bo bagizinga buzinzi mu nkeeka, bakwata might ne bagitambuza ne bakola march, bitera nnyo okubeera mu Iran, mu nsi zirimu obusiraamu obungi ezo, bakwata might ne bagyetika ku mutwe bati ne bamarchinga, and they go to where they want to go. Kati ate nze banna anyway eyo ngenzayo because I want to bring a bigger picture. The engeri gye tukaabamu is the way how government has managed us. Tukaaba nnyo and we think like crying is batuganya olwaleero ne posting and then we go back home, batuganya olwaleero and then we post, we go back home. We are not creating an active population by just posting and kugamba. No, that means one of a guy nabagamba a regime that has been in power for 38 years can do anything. And I told you that tusonozukenjanga muhozi yali kuba president, and you guys won't do anything because we are used there. We shall just tweet and then we finish. Because the population tumanyi them just kukaba and things like that. The population must be prepared. Like you should know, in a dictatorship. For me, I believe there are some things that must be done in dictatorship, and there are some things that must be done in a democratic country. In a dictatorship, you are supporting the dictatorship. Like you are just crying because no kaba. Because after all that money, but the more you defy, the more you do things opposite of what they think of you, is the more you charge other people, is the more you charge the population that they can able to resist even in the future when something arises. So the noob that, or the people power that came as, let me say, as an extreme or a radical movement is becoming a crying movement. Just mukaba bukabi. So people power, what is people power? Mukaba bukabi. Get the body of omukazi, mujikwate, mujitwali mu stadium, jebagiganye, and then cause anything there. Buli omwala benti bano baganye n'okusabira omuntu waabwe. That is it. I really don't make any sense in that. Anyway, I'll start from Mugisha. I just wanted to bring it as a by the way. Nenga sharing a space. Tukube Mao nature amendment che. Joining a campaign and invite many other people to participate. Thank you so much. I'll start from Salma was the first. Salma, you're able to speak. If you're able to speak, and if you're not, then Mugisha. Guys, I'm requesting a mic.
Okay, Salman ngenda kudduka kwa dakika 2 nze nabagamba I will speak. Good morning. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How is everyone? Nze nabagamba nja kwogera paka ku lunaku lw'endiisa omukka gwange ogusembayo. First of all, gwe bw'olaba nga batandise okulaba nti bawunyiriza, it shows that these people are getting the message. We've reached their nerve. Bulijjo badde balowooza omuzannyo ogenda kusigala kyekimu nga edda nti tubeerawo tulinda ababaka ba palamenti balaba nga tubasooseeyo kati fe ababalinze ku kaguwa. So now that's why olaba nga bwe wayogedde ejjo suuna tebamanyi oba Mao akyanoonya ngeri yakikubawo kikyamwokya to an extent nti babeerayo eyo nga batuwulira. Olaba we cooked the mister to an extent nti nno yavuddeyo mu kamooli gye yeekwese, and you see Ongom, you see Spire and all the people. We should give this issue attention that it deserves. Kubanga gwe bw'oba omanyi nti nno mu gundi mu ntamu temuliimu nkoko, lwaki oba ozuukuka ekiro ng'owulidde amasowaani gakubagana? Sigala mu buliri bwe weebaka ogambe nti nno amasowaani gakubagana aswadde temuli bifi, naye ate gwe omugwazi gwe mu ntamu, lwaki oli mu ntamu nga temuliimu bifi? You know, so it is very easy, it is very evident ti bano tubalina tubakutte embadiya tebalina gye badda. We should unite as like never before. 9th of October it should be a starting point just to cook, siga nti lwekitandikira lwekikoma, no, just to prepare the people's minds tubalagako kajjalibu nti no anytime now mugira muzanyazanya anytime now. Yeah, we shall be firing the warning shots, and we should just keep on the fire burning. I'm happy to see my dear doctor Stella Nyanzi. I call her comrade yagano omuyita okumuyita mukama waffe. We all here, we are comrades, so I'm very happy that our comrade Dr. Stella is here. Pole is back. We are back like never before. Bino ebintu by'okudiscussing civic education biki tulina byesonyiwa. We should discuss action. Thank you very much. Nze ne bwe nkomaawo kati mba ntemye.
Ngo yangu. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Now we're talking about this amendment. Also talking about how a population can be seriously active. It's inconsistent if we just remain in our normal ways in a situation that's not normal. it is very inconsistent, very, very inconsistent. So everyone will take advantage of us. Yes, James.
Yes, I'll always say good morning and I announce the time at which I join the space. It is 2:30 a.m. and I'm listening and I'm awake. One thing I want to tell you people, Ugandans, you sleep a lot. I don't know whether I sleep or I rest. Yesterday, I think I was with Stella on the Uganda Law Society wall. I don't know how many of you attended that wall. I challenged them and asked them one question: where have you been, you people? We are embarrassed outside here. Buli kintu kye twogerako mu Uganda bababuuza nti mwasoma bannayuganda mwasoma. Nze atambula nengenda mu parliament weekly, mbeera mu parliament era I'm described as one of the most influential immigrant this state has, and I'm regarded amongst the people. I'll show you amongst the influencers here. When James speaks, he speaks like an Iowan. I'm in a state called Iowa. So yesterday I attended this space. It was a very enriching space, very entertaining space. And I asked the lawyers that, but you people every day, at least for now almost 2 months, I have been with young people marching to parliament. Where have you been? And they followed me up. Very many of them have followed me up, and I'm going to DM most of them because the country must be awake. The country must, in fact, yes, I was saying that we want to close because it's midnight. What the hell? Midnight? And you want to close? People are taking advantage of a population that slept and are regarded as a resource. The sleeping population is a resource. The poor population is a resource. This is something that must be stopped. Come on. An LODU has been promoted to that level. An LODU, which people know. Amatekat Magasomerachi. Me, I don't cry. I act. Now, Gamba civil servants, if you don't have an NRM ticket, better walk away. Me, I walk away. Who do you tell that? For me, I told Ugandans, unless Uganda needs me, I don't need Uganda. I don't. You will never make me to sit down because of a job. Me, no. If you ask me the 8 times I have been dismissed from work, how have I survived that country? And I've been there. So, look at, have you seen Gilbert Olanya, somebody crying over the north, over the bridge? Norbert Mao was an LC5, he should have known about that bridge. Mapinduzi has been an LC5, should have known about that bridge. And they're crying today. And why would Norbert Mao start fronting this and the people of Northern Uganda now crying over a bridge? Which tears do you want to listen to? So is Norbert Mao not aware that his people are more desperate over the bridge than this constitution thing? By the way, we are not supposed to diverge patients' information. I knew a long time ago that Norbert Mao is sick. I knew a long time ago that Olanya is sick. Those are patient records which are not. And you're like, some of these people do this thing as a desperate means. Mugati for them. What about you who has a future? Where would you attach to yourself to somebody who is dying? Norbert Mao can pop as a candle and they will start saying, Vamologa. Me, I know. What no government should release this information to the public about these people? These are sick people. Don't ask me about Walachi. But if I say that, you know. Gali yao gantaka sobola kutulikanga puff balls anytime. Naye gwe oli mwana muto. Si bino bye njagala okuzukukirako buli lunaku. Mbabuuza kati nze ndi mu ddwaliro ndaba how these people are managing stroke, ndaba how these people are flying in their patients, ndaba why don't we discuss such things? How do we connect with people at home and discuss such things? But wake up in every morning, this person is sick, not this person is sick, this person is... Now look at, you're talking about people power. Oh, the noob people. How do you embarrass somebody who is dead? What is respect for the dead? But when we started marching to parliament, where were they? Is that what Mole would have loved to see? Is that respectful? Is that what you call last respect? Is that what you call? I've often told this. Me, I tell them point blank, I am a loner. I work alone because you destroyed a revolution. You won an election. And all along they're preparing a country about an election. And forget that the country needs a revolution. The country needs a revolution. line was shot at, the answer should have been a revolution. Molly has died so that they wake up. That's why she's dead. That is such a disgusting nation. This is not what I want to wake up to discuss every morning. No. What is your 15 minutes of emergency like? Nobody can answer you. People, are you conscious that you are alive? Are you conscious that you have life? Me at 60, I'm now conscious of death. Because every morning at least I see somebody dying. Every morning I see somebody very sick. Every morning I see somebody writing a will. That's my life. I think Bazungu. Uganda. How come a population whose conscience is dead? Davis Lewis Rubongoya. I send him tweets. This person said, may I go to their inboxes? I send them. You see that they have seen that they don't join us. For me, it's now a test. Can a revolution begin from Mbarara? If you have just mentioned Palestinians will carry a body through the streets. Are they good enough to go and mobilize in Mbarara? What video sharing? I think I was seeing somebody again. It has. They used to mention it for me here, and it has come out in the video. I'll share so that you listen to that. What that man is saying. The guy says, "Buganda started a revolution. You don't expect us to come from the north to cross the river. What have to come and Museveni is seated in Kampala. We shall just assist you." There's a leader of an LC5 speaking in the north. There's a lot of dilly-dallying in this politics, and there's a game against us, and they're enjoying. You cannot solve Uganda's problem through a ballot, no. And of course, you have a docile, obedient population, a docile, obedient population, a docile, stupid population, a docile, ignorant population regarded as a resource. Because your vote is primitive. Your vote is based on T-shirts. Look at that image I'm sending you, where somebody from Tororo, somebody from Tororo, somebody from Tororo in the names of both. He's seated with young people, a lawyer seated with ignorant, poor people in yellow T-shirts. And they talk about roadmap. People who defecate in the bush. I come from Tororo, I know it. Yesterday I heard somebody saying, people have been saying, I don't know whether it's a rumor that Elweru is going to be among those appointed for Kampala. That's how hopeless the country has become. That if you can appoint for people in Kampala, Elweru. A country needs a revolt. A country needs a revolution. A country needs people who claim they have gone to school. Anyway, it's a 2:45. All the time I say Kuyamba ba America, Mbayamba. Somebody yesterday, 2 days ago, told me, James, you're a blessing to us. Bazungu, no. James, you're a blessing to us. Why am I not a blessing to Ugandans? I can even be an American hospital and speak for them, for the Americans. And they listen. Good morning.
Thank you so much, James. Thank you so much, James, for your submission. Guys, we are cooking. We are cooking Mao. We are cooking ourselves also, because it is too much, like James called this a docile population. And this is what we are. The government has taken advantage of a docile population. Deliberately, they managed to keep us docile. And so that's how they managed to rule us for 39 years. How do you manage a docile population? Is exactly how you make everyone vulnerable, you make them cry every time, intimidate them and put them in fear. Every time population must be in fear. So that in case you have to do anything, it is very easy for you to do something. Like if this amendment comes and the population is as weak as it is, as docile as it is, according to what we are seeing, then it is very easy for anything you want to do to pass. How do you charge the population to reject anything? I've tagged the three things that we have talked about. The Norbert Mao reaction to this, calling this this campaign as saying that we are discussing something that is not existing, and we agree that he might call it like this, but there's a reason why he's hiding. He doesn't want to get out. But whatever you're seeing outside indicates that something is being cooked. And also good that people are reacting. The cartoonists have already drawn him. So continue cooking him. Go to his timeline and cook him. Also talking about the same way, like if a bill is brought and the population is not prepared, that means it is very easy for the government to pass. It will be very easy for the government to pass it because they know that we cannot act. How do you prepare a population? Every player must be action oriented. Every player, whether political, whether activist, must be action oriented, especially in the kind of dictatorship that we are in. That's why I tagged here up there a response by our colleague here, Kamoga, after on Lewis Lugonga's post when police are blocked. That is on the third post by NBS. Police deployed officers at Nyamitogola playground where Nup was supposed to hold prayers for the deputy president of Western Region, Jole Mugisha. Police are sealed off the place. So in response to that, Lugonga on his tweet about the same thing, Kamoga, our colleague here, amwisiza mwegali namgamba Mama Jole endured all forms of regime brutality while alive. She can still endure it dead. Mama raised us to be brave and resilient no matter the circumstances. Carry Mama's body and take there. Stop lamenting Lewis. That's what we're talking about. We have Kamoga is here. We have over lamented. I personally disagree with so many politicians. I personally disagree with so many politicians on how they handle some things. I personally have disagreement on how. And I 100% agree with Kamoga. When I went there, I read it. I really loved it because in a circumstance like that, and I've been giving you references here, in Arab countries where the government or the state kills one of them, they wrap that body, because the body was a coffin, they wrap that body and carry it. Massive protest, carry that body in big numbers, they take it where they want. If it is a burial, they do that. So for me, I always ask, what is the purpose of numbers? If you have numbers, how do you use the numbers? If you never use your numbers, you'll end in failure, and that's the reality. The moment you fail to use the numbers, you'll fail. Numbers must help you. The numbers is power. The numbers is power. How do you say that? But when in numbers, you have the power. If you don't have numbers, you don't have power. Even including money, including political power, you have the power. You fail to use the numbers, you never have the power. So you will shout always people power, but you don't have the power. It is just a theory that comes in your mouth. So how do we use even the people power that we're talking about? Carry that body, carry that casket, mobilize people, and go and put it there. Let them tear gas people carrying the body. That is it. People want to see that. We want to see that. Like Kamoga said, even Jolly would love to see that. Mujimatin, have the mic. Guys, share the space. I've tagged Norbert Mao. Whenever you share the space, Norbert Mao gets a notification. Cook the fraud, cook Norbert Mao, and cook his amendment.
Thank you, Suna. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, comrades across the world. Yes, thank you so much. Dr. Stella Obubakar Mufunye, thank you so much. And on this day, it's just we are now expounding things from a reality point of view. This campaign, I think Suna, you'll agree with what Mugisha said. Enough with the talking. It's high time. In a revolution, katitekyayimu politicians. Kuba kati tukizudde ba politicians things bagala kubeeraawo tutwaliraawo ffe twagala kyuka. We want change. You get? And we are not going to keep lamenting. Can we find ways? Let's just mobilize our people and throw away with this Mao thing. Because Olavanti Mao can even start responding to us. He's scared, and he has to be scared because a lot is coming. We cannot keep playing around the same ping pong games our leaders have been playing around, hoodwinking us. I mean, gone are those days whereby they would play around with the constitution and think people are not watching. In 2017, the MPs, when Kyagulanyi was in parliament, they tried to put a show. We kept quiet. They did what they did, and eventually Kadaga passed that bill. Guys, are we going to watch the same thing yet we know that our parliament is gullible? It can't do anything. That when they pass this thing, we should watch. This is our time. If we can mobilize people, if we can talk, let us talk. Let's emphasize one thing, mobilizing people for Museveni to go, because this is Musevenism at play. The whole bill is around keeping Museveni into power. Museveni and his family, that is what it is about. And now, what are we going to do? Are we going to keep talking? Civic education? Our people have had enough civic education. The funny thing with Ugandans is, even the person who has not gone to school, they know the problems that are affecting them and the communities. These people are very interesting. Ugandans know the issues that are affecting them. But every time us who are educated go to them and then you try to twist them, you see, we want that next time. These Ugandans are sharp people. They know it all. The more they see us ping pong around, that's why they hold back. It's the same thing. Someone hinted on. I mean, David Lewis. You come on Twitter, you're complaining that people smanya babaganyi. How long shall we keep hearing that? Nibamukuba katiya gasi nemugamba tukakane. We smanyanga people should relax. I mean, guys, you're making the revolution gagged. That is not the people. Madame Jole Mugisha was a fighter. There are people bemanyi nti bo ba fighter. Wali abakazi betumanyi nti ba fighter. There's no way you would expect Dr. Stella to tell someone, relax, don't do this. No, because people who know Dr. Stella know her as a fighter. In order to honor her as a fighter. It's the same thing. I feel like there is something wrong. I don't know whether with this institution, because sometimes it makes you believe, were they penetrated? Like every time there's a cause, a spark that can really bring out the voice of the people, they themselves calm it down. I mean, there is no will. No, you can no longer breathe. In order to breathe, again, ask for permission. I mean, these are things we are getting, by the way. No more will. I am a people power supporter, and I hope this message goes out. But it's time. People are tired of this lamentation. Sometimes, I mean, you see, God gives you every sign and every gift at your foreplay. It's up to you to use it. And if you go around and you do not use it, the next time you're not going to cry to Him, because He will be like, I gave you everything. You have the masses, you have the numbers. But even some things like that, you still say, oh no. I mean, we are the same Ugandans of 2017, the same Ugandans in 2024, same Ugandans who are complaining of the same things. This is a tactic used by the regime. Every time they do those kind of things, they're making you get used to it. In some point, they're gagging the revolution. They're killing people's spirits. And that is why every time we even have causes to mobilize people for, people are reluctant to come because they feel like, like, I mean, these are the realities. We are tired, guys. We want a new country. Even when there is a small spark, people cannot even utilize it. Yet these are the people behind a very huge party, a huge movement. Then you say your people power and then you cry like that. I mean, I mean, this is it.
People power now.
We are over. I don't want people to get me wrong, but I feel we are over tolerating too much. Every time you tolerate too much, you gag the cause behind. Every time you tolerate too much, you make people comfortable. You make people's spirits go down. Let them understand this message. It's high time they stop that lamenting. It's too much. It's getting too much. People are angry. People are bitter. People want change. But if even our leaders cannot come together and then push for the same cause, elections, what are we preparing for? Which elections are we preparing for? We are preparing the elections of the same man who elects the Electoral Commission, the same man who is in charge of the military, the same man who is in charge of the judiciary, the same man who is in charge of the money. I mean, guys, is that democracy? When we are still playing in the dictator's book? We want to make these things better. We have to first remove and rebuild a better system that enables everyone to play in a fair game. We will know good day. I feel like every time, I mean, I'm speaking for so many people even who sometimes come like, but guys, what's going on? Cause like, I don't know, people are just, it's like our own people fear to even make that step. And then you wonder, there are the very people who came with that spark that opened people, and people came out. Now, now in an era where people are even much more awake than before, when the spirits are high, that's when tear gas. People's spirits were high. People wanted to go to the streets. And instead, the same leaders are coming. People, no, let's take it slow. But next time something worse will happen. I mean, guys, we need to be alive to these things. Anthony Wameli agenda, bwacho. A brilliant, smart lawyer like that, he went in a weird way. I watched one of his videos. He himself was saying, even the doctors didn't know what they were treating, and he believed he was poisoned. That is one person who has gone. Other leaders have also gone in mysterious ways. Speedy. Even Madame Jole, the same thing. But you're not seeing something is eating you up, you're all angers. I mean, sometimes we need to really get to the reality of these facts. We are dealing with abnormal times and systems that really do not favor us if we do not rise to the occasion. I kindly add my voice to Kamoga. Our people power leaders, our people I mean, from across, even FDC, even whether aunt or what, it's high time. Get behind Ugandans. Support the cause. If you people are scared of the cause, tell us openly to Chimanye. Then I want okay? Because we want all this thing to be done by all of us Ugandans. We are here debating electoral reforms. We want this. We know we are not even debating. We want to mobilize people. None of them talks about mobilizing. They're just quiet. Everyone keeps telling us, oh, strategies. No, but we rally the people. Tell the people to come out to the streets. We have 9th October. I mean, can these people really, really come out and support us? It's like they all fear. I don't understand. We are the people behind. It's the Ugandans. We are the people going to suffer. Maybe some of them are very well off. They're doing okay. But some of us, we are not. That's why we're in this cause, because we want a better Uganda. We want a better country for all of us. We are being squeezed right and left and center. I mean, let them for once come behind the people. Let them speak the people's voice. But this thing of always lamenting, always what, we have causes. It's high time people came together. Put aside differences, put aside positions. If they all want change in Uganda, then let them embrace the change we are talking about. We have been here on these places for months now. It's high time they rose to the occasion. Because we cannot isolate them. They're also Ugandans. They're not foreigners. They're Ugandans. They have kids. They have families. They have homes here. Why should we neglect them? We need all of them to come on board. All the political parties, it's high time they rally behind Ugandans. Mobilize people. This thing of always lamenting, it's killing people's spirits. This people power movement is so huge. Please, leaders, do not kill the vibe. Do not kill the people's voice. Let's rise to the occasion. Mobilize people. In Zambia, the same people are telling us to cool down. I mean, guys, this system is very smart. Again, they're testing our waters. Every time it's like, what can I do? Then you come, you lament, you keep quiet. They're like, they squeeze one by one like that. Eventually, we cannot let this Mao's thing is testing our waters. They want to say, will they talk like how they've been talking in 2017? But now this time it's us. We want to be part of it. And we are saying no. Now it's like the leaders, but change. Like, I don't understand. Well, how would you fear change? I thought we want change. Rally behind the people, rally behind the people power movement. Awaken the spirit of the people power. I send this message to all the change-seeking Ugandans. Awake the people power movement, the people power voice. Because in this era, the numbers that were there before, right now, are more times than the ones before. You just need to awaken that voice. Don't keep that voice in the dark. Don't suppress that voice by always lamenting and taking people. We are looking at 2026. No, we are playing to the dictators. 2026, like, guys, yes, if the Kalul is there, but right now that shouldn't be our focus. Our focus should be for change. We want change, man. We want change badly. I want change as Martin because I have no future I'm seeing ahead in the next 10 years if I do not fight for my country right now. My kids won't be in a better country if things are not changed right now. Guys, to get into everything serious. You cannot think that we're in normal times. Even if you have money in the system we are in, your future is not guaranteed. You're not even sure. I mean, this is the system you're in. You'll find someone has bought land, 3 people are claiming the same land. You imagine that. And a vote of no confidence in this system. This is the system you wake up, give you and someone else has claimed it. Is this the same system we still want to joke around and play with and think it is normal? Foreigners are occupying all lands, they're occupying all offices, everything is taken, they're occupying businesses, and we know the solutions, but we are trying to pretend like we are still in those normal times. No. Guys, to mobilizing, let's awaken the people power voice. We are all people power. Amani Gabantu is the voice of God. The voice of God is always in the people's movement, people's power. When people rise, this is the time we have managed to unite Ugandans across all the political divides. This is the time Ugandans are speaking the same voice. Even to get people even make funny memes about them. People make funny videos. It just shows you that the whole country, people are awake to it. Yesterday they were protesting in Mira. 3 comrades rose up to protest. Message it's high time we awaken the people power voices. It's high time all the leaders, whether NUP, whether FDC, whether what, Katonga, whatever, whether an aunt, please leaders, if you're true patriotic Ugandans, come join Ugandans and rally Ugandans. Enough with this talking. We have no time. Some of you have lived, or probably you've lived your lives, and yeah, because man, we have like 50 years ahead, 40 years ahead. Where are you going to be? Rally us, come to the occasion, get behind Ugandans. To every cause Ugandans are pushing, come, support them. Add your voice to rallying the voices to the streets. Asanteni sana, MP Suna, and thank you the rest.
Thank you so much, Muji. Guys, in sharing a space, I've tagged Norbert Mao. Whenever I share the space, you're sending a message already to Norbert Mao. So he knows that we are cooking him. Yeah, I've also shared one of the tweets that is try to bring out the picture that I was explaining here. Okay, so trying to bring out what exactly we are talking about, especially with Kamoga's comment there, and what we're talking about. That is something that happened in Beirut. It's a protest. Just a protest. Where the protesters carried the body to the street in Lebanon. The protesters had been killed by the security forces. So how do you fight even in times like that? How do you or like abantu bateka motya sorry abantu bateka motya omutima ne mukaseera akazibu, because we really think like maybe we have a specific time where we must inspire or motivate people to fight or to do this. So when is the best time to fight? Someone was telling us yesterday tulindeko Norbert Mao asoka iseteka, then we can fight. Already ngamsevena amazo designing ako. For him, he was suggesting like that. Remember Asimwe? He said, I think the best time to fight is when they have already bamazo designing ako. That's when we can fight. So yeah, so when is the best time to fight? Do we have a best time to fight? This is the best time to fight. Like we need to think about these things as Ugandan. Otherwise, people are going to take advantage of us. People take advantage of us. You've seen many times. I saw last time Elias Lukwago. He went to visit in Kawala, and police came. Name government, you're not supposed to hold a meeting here. Nabagamba, I'm allowed. So police you are not going to hold a meeting. A meeting is the Lord Mayor of Kampala is holding a meeting in Kampala. So I want to people who were with Lukwago, they started shouting at police. Temuja tumanyira, mususo tumanyira, achino chitu suseko, temuja tumanyira nyo. So I liked that. But then Lukwago natandika okwewozako mu mateeka omanyi wa mateeka tusabye leta simanyi balua simanyi tugenze wagundi guy ebyo when do we go there even okitegera nze nkimanyi nti bwenjagala I have any time to have a meeting with people I want mu kifaa okitegera you are a Lord Mayor, but first that's one thing. Nti owa police namugamba nti oyina kusaba even oyina kusaba na luksa kuva IGP. For me that's the what I don't have. That's what I don't believe. I will not believe that. Okitegera nti freedom to assemble. I tell you guys, people meet in cities. Abantu ba meeting amusinde bakukulu abene ba meeting ne bogera 5 6 7 8 10. Okitegera. What are you talking about? Do I have to first? Okitegera. I have to first ask for a meeting or meeting. Kasota nko proving in the way that you prove usimanyi amateka. You are also making it legitimate. I saw Brayo saying lwaki mutugano okusabira wano. This is not a political rally. So Brayo is saying that a political rally, it is okay for them to block a political rally. No, it's not okay for them to block. So in a way, you are even giving them the powers even to block. Anyway, who's Dada have the mic.
Yes, Suna. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, guys. Wherever you are, my regards to you. Simanyi na wakutandikira naye. You'll bear with me. I have a serious flu and cough and things like that, so you'll bear with my sound. Naye anange. Omulamwa gwa Norbert Mao and amendment. We know, all of us at the back of our minds, we know there's something sinister they are cooking. And, coming out to prepare, to combat that situation when it comes is something, only, a person that, does not calculate, will only such a person can see it as negative. But for me, I see a positive in it, and I'm for it, because these people are, I don't even know how to term them, but they are so shameless, and they are desperate, and they are willing to do anything, and they've vulgarized a lot in our eyes, by the way. They've shifted the parliament to anywhere. Now they can even take it to someone's bedroom. They help us and communicate to us, when they're sitting. But sometimes I even just get into the news. Hey, today they are back, they're sitting, There's no guarantee that they will show parliament like they have to show it live. There's no guarantee of such thing, because the last time I checked, UBC can divert and show us a program of Museveni somewhere and then switches off parliament, So is NBS, because actually it is now parliament paying NBS to air. So they might say we didn't have the money for this month, and they will not air it anywhere, and probably we will just see now video clips of them voting and passing the thing. It is very possible with these people. They are so shameless, and they are desperate, and they can do anything. So for me, I wouldn't, reject, this idea of preparing to fight the amendment anytime it comes, because there's no guarantee that it will come this time and that time, but we know that between now and 2026, it is bound to come, So for me, I'm okay with that. But that aside, I soon I will give me an opportunity to use this space to also respond to some of the things I've been hearing here, because there was a space that was organized by Agora and invited Andrew Mwenda, who we all know is very close to the people in charge. There was also a space yesterday night held by Makana and some of the people who have been actively involved in this struggle. And also there is now this space, and people are airing views. Okay, there are people who are, for me, sounding a bit desperate, like it is showing like they're too desperate, and it is even affecting how they are articulating things, and I'll just remind most of us that this situation in Uganda is seen by so many people. I agree that we need to sensitize, but sometimes when you go to sensitize people, they even look at you and say, "No, so yes, we need to sensitize, but at the same time, there are people who are already sensitized, and we've been talking about these things for a very long time. But at the back of our mind, what we should never put the pressure on ourselves is, when is it going to happen? And that pressure, it has to happen today, or if it does not happen this week, it is done. Because in the beginning we said this is a marathon. This is something that could go on for a very, very long time. So if you put that kind of pressure on yourself, it somehow even affects your judgment of a situation. So from the voices I've been hearing, people saying, what, why are people even going for elections? Why are people going for elections? The reverse. Have you imagined the reverse of what you're saying? Are you trying to say that people give up and say, okay, we're not even going for that election and things like that? What would the direction then be? We should stop imagining situations and forcing them to happen instantly. These things are going to be processes, and we can only contribute as much as we can. Okay. And the idea that, for example, people now should not, you cannot talk about the amendment because it is not there. It is not even on paper yet, and it does not matter. What matters now is Museveni should just go. I mean, that is what we all want, but you need to hold him somewhere. And these are things we've been discussing time and time again. So when people say, "Aman, why are you even focusing about Chitezi?" I mean, people died, Simanya, 400 of them in 20 because of it here. Simanya, in for example, So why are you bringing that back? It will not help. For me, I believe we have to use every opportunity. We have to wake up every day like it's a fresh day, to add on to what has been done before, and also keep going forward. Because once we put a lot of pressure and timelines on this, we will despair. We will be bound to having that kind of judgment that is not going to help, especially people who are on these platforms and speaking to a lot of people all the time. We need to check the kind of the energy we are serving out, because sometimes we're even here on spaces and people are protesting. That means the pressure points are so many. Yours, you just have to amplify it, work to increase it. But don't despair. Don't come and say, man, we are done, like it's we are not doing anything. People are doing things. Everyone, wherever they are, people are doing things. People are in Umbarara fighting the police now. I have tried to call someone who is there, and I was trying to talk to them before I even picked up a mic in this space. Everyone, wherever you are, you just have to do it better and try to give a positive outlook on where we are going and where we are headed. This is my humble plea, especially to people who are always in these spaces and are encouraging people to participate in these activities of showing dissatisfaction, of showing that we need change. We need Museveni gone. Those are things we've been saying. Let me go back to the issue of the Andrew Mwenda space. Now, for me, Andrew Mwenda is a person I have immense respect for. Like I should have said I had, but I don't think it can go away, even if you wish so. But I remember back then in the early 2000s, I used to read a lot. I was an ardent reader of The Independent. Like I would buy every issue, and keep them and read them, and you'd read rich information. But when you hear what he says now, it is so so sad to find that the regime turns to the people who everyone was counting on to keep giving them accurate information. And he's one of the best examples. But for me, in that space, he said things that all of us should have picked on. And I'm afraid since then I've personally not read anyone writing or anyone saying the exact points that for me I felt he touched Andrew Mwenda. The one that I don't want to even miss, and I'll mention it first, is that he said that it is the pressure from people who are marching, people who can protest onto the streets or any form of protest that will shake this government. He mentioned that, and he was right about that, according to me. Andrew Mwenda also said that actually we are missing, or we didn't know the hierarchy in the army. Most of us thought it is Muhoozi who will chair that meeting when Museveni is disposed or dead. But he said it is not Muhoozi. He said it is Mr. Gulu. And people have been always focusing on Muhoozi. The man was very clear, and he said the most senior general, Salim Saleh, is the person that is supposed, in case of anything, and he mentioned that categorically clear. I don't know why most people did not pay attention to that. But there's a reason as to why Mao, who comes from Gulu, where Salim Saleh, turned almost a second state house. Some of these things we hear them and turn over and continue, but some of them are so important and we need to understand them well. So, without missing the point and saying a lot, this man said that for him, the next person, in case anything happens to Museveni, it is Salim Saleh who is going to take over this country. And all of us have been seeing these moves and have seen a lot of things going on. But what I request for you guys, especially people who have taken up the responsibility to spread the information on peaceful protest, the information on picketing, the information on standing up and raising voices peacefully, we must not despair. We need to carry on this because it's a marathon. It's not going to be a one-day thing. It is something we need to do on a daily and wake up every day to try and dream and add more energy to it, more ideas, more spin to it, and make sure until we reach where we want to go. And we have always said the best way to civically uplift our people is by doing these things practically. Just like the boys who were holding a space yesterday night, they are a very clear example of so many of us that when they moved on 23rd, a lot of people, woke up and started preparing and said, oh, we can also do this. So we can only increase the number of people that go onto the streets by going on the streets physically. This is also important,
talking about it and arranging and organizing ourselves in such spaces. But the most important thing for us is going to be practically doing these things as an example. Because when you do, other people see and they copy. That's the best way to do it. That is why I'm also now going to use this opportunity to remind you that on 9th, there's a preparation going on that people have to match. You know? Yes, so Sija Kulanda Ganyo, but I think the information is clear. Thank you for your time, MP UOT.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dada, for your great submission. One thing I have to let you know also that the other one is the uncle to the son, and Kwegamba Akavuyo. The other one is the uncle to the son. The son showed intention to rule, even public intention to rule. So I really, but then I've seen many times Moho's going to meet where problems need again they were Salim Saleh. That time he had many problems. Again they were Salim Saleh then after he traveled to Kigali. But then Olabanga we are heading to a family rule. We are heading to a family rule. Guys,
you know, when you scroll through the timelines, you know, of the first family members about you on social media, ofuna pattern ntino omuzeeyi, you know, basika musike like obanje ogere ntya like simanyi nakumanya bonna buli omu amuddrag nga amuziza gy'ayagala
buli omu ayagala mukozesa ky'ayagala.
He's not in control. Abantu bo balogottegera babirane bafo, but it's like he's not in control at all. The chance of it.
Yeah, ekyo kiraga nti ekyo kiraga nti ayina amaanyi because ayina amaanyi mu first family yatutwala singa ekisajja kifiiridde awo pyu nze nebunya abantu abagamba tusaba afe woza bafe gwagenda holdinga meeting egenda okufuna president addako ngoba vice president wamwe ayina amaanyi agagendo ayihi abantu bagamba tusaba afe kadeni bwafa era serious nawe simusabira nko kufa bwafa nga tetunetereza kaba kavuyo keerere tetulina we tugenda kuganyulwamu nti afudde bw'atereterezeza no at the end of the day era nga oyo dada bwagambye era be batuula meeting ne bagamba Sale kwatamu ennaku zino 6 nga bateekateeka tutereza then Sale bwakwatamu ennaku 6 gifuuka myaka 6 okitegeera oba something like that kati tulina okuba nga tweteeseteese ng'eggwanga otherwise bano abasajja bagateeka kawilibbaalo batwetikke. That's it. So Katere Mprezose Gachi, I give you the mic.
Yeah, webali LM Dada nesuna okutekawo space zino ebintu LM Dada byoyogedde byonna in your submission bintu bibadde birungi nnyo era nange mbikiririzamu. Kati wenzira ku topic ya leero, rejecting Norbert Mao's amendments and joining the campaign. What you're doing here, it's really good, but there's nothing that we can reject at the moment. But it's really good to prepare the people's minds for what Norbert Mao, as the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, in his docket to bring amendments to the Constitution. It's his right, and that's his job. Where we may differ is to do with the amendments that he's proposing to bring. Until he puts those words and his mind, whatever he's talking about, on paper, and present it to the cabinet brings it to Parliament, it will go through a process. Now, once those amendments are on paper and we have the documents on what specifically is bringing or intends to amend or proposing to amend in the Constitution, then as the citizens who have a duty to also protect that Constitution, we come in force. But it's good to remind ourselves that Norbert Mao is preparing to bring amendments to the Constitution. And what we hear in the corridors are not good, but we cannot rely on what we hear in the corridors until we get the actual text of the amendments that he intends to bring. And that's not to say that what you're doing here is a bad thing. It's good. But as the people who are advocating for the good governance and rule of law, who are advocating to change the trajectory and the political terrain in Uganda, we have to be strategic on how we make the moves, because we are serious people and everything that we do is serious. It's serious business. We are in a serious cause. So we must, one, disabuse ourselves from getting excited and engaging in pedestrian arguments. This may not go well with many people who want to get excited. Excitement is really, you'd rather be happy but not excited. And that takes us to, me to remind ourselves that our country, Uganda, was captured. The moment I got to learn that Uganda or a state was captured by, I heard my brother Suna saying that we're heading into a family rule. We have always been in a family rule. The family of Kaguta, the friends and in-laws, captured Uganda since 1986 to date. That's why he has been using divide and rule. He has been moving the goalpost from one position to the other, but he has not moved away from his main mission of ruling Uganda. Initially, they had 50 years. Now they want to have 100. It will move from 7, it goes to the son and probably the grandchild. None of you can tell me, under the structures of government in Uganda, which position does Salim Saleh hold? Nothing. He's the head of Operation Wealth Creation. But he has uncoded executive powers that can summon members of parliament. He can summon the vice president and ministers, not to meet them, not for him to come and meet those ministers in Kampala, but he invites them to wherever he is. Whether in Ruwero or Gulu, they will go and meet with him. That is someone with power, and not only power, but with authority. So we need to always think. We need to aim before we shoot. By understanding the person or a small group of people that captured our country, Uganda. In their mission to have a grip on power, they're going to have people like Norbert Mao, they're going to have Anita Mong, among others, and a forest of MPs, politicians from local governments to the national level, using them in various ways. And even in the judiciary. So, if you've been keen and listening to the sounds that have been playing, where Roderick Robogo is making statements through audios, telling people how they're going to capture every institution and every organ of government, where they're going to be the prince and the rest of other Ugandans are going to be serving them. They're on the mission. And they have not gone away from that. So if you're going to fight them, if you're going to fight those people that are so strategic, then you must be also strategic. I'm not one of the people that thinks that Ugandans don't know what is happening, because most of the things that we come and speak about on these social medias are directly happening to the people who are on the ground in Uganda. In their localities, things are happening. If you're looking at the road around Salama Road, how many families, what's the population of people that live on that road that cannot raise up and protest for that road to be constructed? Yet they pay tax. Is it because they don't know they're waiting for Suna, LM Dada, or any other person, Dr. Stella Nyanzi, or any other person that has the voice to speak and to speak to them as if they're not seeing what is happening? Everyone on this space, and those that are going to watch after we've gone, when you get information, Don't rush into action. You need to interrogate that information, the message that you're getting. That's why even Dr. Seranyans can bear witness, or even other person, that before data collection is very important. Before you find a solution to an existing problem, you must have data. You must understand the intentions of the person that is causing that problem. Otherwise, you may be playing into their hands without you knowing. They're setting you up. Yet your intention is to deny them the oxygen to breathe. I can come here and speak about something that's going to excite us all, and then probably I can get the hand claps. But because I'm tired to see what is happening in Uganda, I'm tired to hear voices that people who only take their phones, smartphones, to take pictures and videos of those that have chosen to put their lives online, to come and mobilize them. They will cheer them on top of the building instead of joining them. And yet, the people that are fighting, raising up to fight, are far well off. They can afford whatever they want without coming on the street. But the people that are really languishing in abject poverty have not yet woken up to realize that, one, nothing is going to change until we all stand up. I agree with what Andrew Mwenda said, like Element Dada shared with us, that if you want to change a regime that captured the state, what are the methods on how we can change the government if we are using peaceful means and not waging war or starting up another guerrilla war? That massive protest, getting on the street. But there are other activities that we can do before we get to that grand protest, massively on the street. Isolation, because we must know people that are contributing, enabling our oppressors to continue oppressing us. And these ones are part of our society. You cannot tell me that you are failing to isolate people who are part of these small people, okay? MPs, local leaders, your friends who really get money, these musicians who get money from the regime that is oppressing you, which money would have been used to construct a road, put medicine in the hospitals, okay? Before you look at the bigger things, you must really sort out the small things around you. Around you. That's being strategic. And then once you sort these things, small things out, they will lead you to the bigger, grand national protest, where you're going to be overwhelming the security organs. Because if you understand, the regime has invested so much into the tools of coercion, buying more tear gas and other hammered vehicles to quell the protesters who are peacefully protesting. When we say we are marching to parliament, before we have that grand march to parliament, we also need to understand that these parliamentarians don't stay in parliament, they stay in our communities. So how do we send a message to them? How do we make them, how do we make their life so difficult? We can use boycott and civil disobedience. We can come and speak all the good things until cows go home. But the words must be followed with actions. That's the missing link. Because Mao is going to introduce the amendments to the constitution, because however much our shredded constitution, raped as many times as we can mention, still have provision that allows amendments to those constitution, and it provides ways on how those amendments can become effective. When you want to change the system from presidential to parliamentary system, then you must go through a referendum. That doesn't mean that when a referendum is organized in Uganda, like in other elections, still that can be, scientifically reached. But until they bring it, that's when you attack it. It's not going to come and then pass straight in Parliament. It's going to go from the first reading, second reading, and the third reading. That's when they're going to be doing the voting. So when it comes to the first reading and it's referred to the legal committee of Parliament, we make sure that we get that document and read it. Then we can start getting these people, that our comrades that we're mobilizing now, preparing their minds for what is yet to come. And then we attack it. We can mobilize the population to go on the street, send messages to various MPs, because we are trying to liberate ourselves from the shackles of oppression, the shackles of those that captured our state, the family, the Museveni family. We liberating ourselves. As I conclude, their members, when you go to the military, there are individuals that are members to the high command, whose names were even like Honorable Semju has already said, that those names that were even put into our constitution in the document, okay? That is the UPDF Act. And Salim Saleh is one of them. Some of them have really died, okay? Salim Saleh is a life member to the high command. So it's not a surprise that if anything happens to General Museveni, I don't wish him death. I want him to live. But my worry is that General Museveni cannot sit back and see him not being a president unless he's dead. So if anything happens, whether Salim Saleh or whoever chairs that high command, you must be sure that the chief of defense forces will be there. So it still goes back into the same circle of family thing. These other members that may join them cannot change anything. And they have made sure that there's no meeting at all in the military. If it happens, then they're going to deal with them. So they really understood. In the previous spaces, we talked about using the SWOT analysis. You use the SWOT analysis on yourself as an individual or as a group, and use the same SWOT analysis to your enemy that you're fighting against, or a group of people that you're fighting against. Knowing your strength, your weakness, opportunities, and the threat. That if you're organizing a demonstration, a protest, a peaceful protest, what are those things that are you expected to threaten your existence or your exercising of your constitution protected rights? You're going to look at mostly the security organ that are going to come to stop you from, because there wouldn't be any other personal group that is going to stop a Ugandan to peacefully protest. So you're going to look at those groups of coercion that are going to interject or stop you by using force to the people that are peacefully protesting. So that is a threat to us. What opportunities do we have? What is our strength? What is our weakness? We look at all that. So as we look forward to the 9th of October, peaceful protest, we also need to be realistic ourselves, because it's going to be a disservice to you and others that you're mobilizing if you're telling yourselves lies. We cannot move anywhere. We will be moving 5 feet in the morning and then come back 4 feet in the evening. Being realistic doesn't make you weak, doesn't mean that you are agreeing to what the status quo is doing, but as serious people, we have to be realistic, and we must take time to read everything that these guys that are oppressing us, what the parliamentarians pass, everything that these guys are doing. Once we have access to them, we must read, understand, consult those that could understand the language and the text of those documents, understand the messages and interrogate the minds of the people that are making those statements to avoid falling into their traps. So from now onwards, we must take time to reflect on where we've moved and where we intend to go, how we execute our tasks, because the way we execute our tasks will determine the outcome. May God bless you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prezo. Members, I'm requesting a mic. I was concluding it. I was away from the phone, so but I just left seconds before you concluded. I'm requesting a mic. Then also I'm sharing a space. Participate also in the conversation by requesting for the mic. We saw something. We saw that there was a bill that was put on the order paper last time on Tuesday, but so we didn't know what happened, and we thought that was going to be that's going to be the first reading of the bill, but we never had anything. So we don't know what happened. Remember that couples that was moving, but we don't know what happened. There are a lot of expectations, and we know that the regime is trying to they're trying to see that they can pass the things when we are maybe sleeping. Maybe one time they will hold parliament at night. We woke up in the morning, things like that. You know how these guys have been doing. So they're doing this. They will do it. Mao is talking about transition. Mao is talking about transition, and for us, we have to know close and he's trying to deny this and then saying transition. So which kind of transition is Mao talking about? When you analyze what Dada is saying here and what you guys think, you understand that Mao is not, the transition is not helping Mao, but Mao is working on the hope, just hopes that someone told him this will work if we do it like this and this. If you push it like this, it can work. So Mao is trying to design a transitional something he calls transitional transition through a constitution, of which that transition will affect the whole country. Other people that are not close to the leadership, like you and me and other people. So this is what I can tell you. It's something that we have to be aware and mobilize ourselves in time. Even according to the space we had yesterday, omuntu yaza natwa information enungi, and I know Mao will listen to it. So tuongere okusimbula tugende maaso. So before Dr. Stella comes in, Ellen Prezo, just use that 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you very much. You talked about Mao. You see, before Mao joined, decided to work with the regime, he said that they had a memorandum of understanding between Mao as an individual, which memorandum of understanding not even DP members read it or saw it. But there was an agreement between Mao and General 7. That's why when you look at the people that benefited from that benefited so far from that memorandum is the Secretary General of DP and Norbert Mao. Now, in that we did not understand what they had agreed upon. So we don't know what Mao was asked to do by Genome 7 or to accomplish within his term of that memorandum. But what I can see, basing on what Mao, from his word through the media, has told us, that is bringing amendment that he got from the Constitution, what the Constitution, the Supreme Court directed the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs to bring amendments to the elections and election amendments. Those suggestions that were brought by, raised by a group of opposition through their the compact, whatever is the compact. So that still takes us back without reading too much into Mao and his mind. We can only tell when Mao brings whatever he has in his mind and what he says on TV and the media. until he brings that, puts that on paper. Then we can ask him to account for that. We can choose to go against them, or we support some of the amendments that are good for the public. That's what I wanted to bring.
All right, thank you so much, Dada. Thank you so much, Dada. Yes, Dr. Sarah Nyanzi, you've come. You have the mic, please.
Hi, NP Uganda.
People...
So Presume you said that was like a LMK kakutabula nange
kantabulira ddala
omu prezo ate omulala dada ate nze banzijukiza prezo dada presido dada anyway. I think for me in terms of the conversation so far around the electoral reforms, and I you know, so the cartoonists for me are sort of prophets or seers whose work I really, you know, anybody who knows me knows I love how artists sort of point us into ways and they invite interpretation. And I think that, you know, that Spire and Ogon, Mugisha Yabogedeko in his very brief submission, that often they look at the pulse, the heartbeat of Uganda, and then they are inspired to draw something which often generates debate depending on what's happening in Uganda. And so for me, I think Kalam Dada said he used to buy the Independent. For me, I don't miss the cartoon sections of any newspaper. And the focus of both Ogon and Spire on Mao, one as, you know, football, the other as a snake charmer is interesting. And the title you have, I mean, I saw MP Uganda that Mao took a photo of the space you held maybe yesterday, and he's tried to downplay the significance of holding spaces around his reforms. You know, he was saying, what are people discussing? And he was like, I don't know, 736 people times 3 hours, or was it 2 hours and a half? Like, people are wasting so much time, man hours, instead of working, you're focusing on reforms which you don't even know about. And I think for me that highlights certain things that the artists are, they're you know, bakutya ku nsonga, like waliwo ensonga, waliwo ekifumbibwa, something is being cooked. And I think for me that the term rejection, therefore, you know, you're saying rejecting Norbert Mao's amendments. The term rejection for me is a frame of mind. It's a frame of mind. And I agree with Ellen Prezo. Before we actually see the reforms that are suggested, before that BL is tabled on the order paper of Parliament, a lot of what we're doing is speculation. Tetumanyi kibagenda kufumba naye Mao tumumanyi, right? So people who are saying it's too early, you can't start the conversation before seeing. I think for me that Linda kikole kitya
Linda Kigweyo yafumita mukira.
Linda Kigweyo yafumita mukira. And then waliwo olugero olulala. So people who don't know Linda Kigweyo abali ku space abata naye fenna tumanyi nsuubira, fenna tumanyi Oluganda. Ndabyawo Odoki, just in case Odoki needs translation. Linda Kigweyo of afumita mukira is a proverb in Luganda that refers to hunting or trying to kill a snake with a spear. That if you see a snake entering a snake hole and you wait for it, you eventually just pierce the tail of the snake instead of piercing its head, which is what we want to do. And so we can't wait to see the actual bill. A friend of mine who is interested very much in what's happening in Parliament today and is in Germany with me right now, one of the people who are planning March to Parliament with us, Solomon Nawiyanda, has access to people who have access to the bills when they're sent to the tabs, the electronic gadgets of MPs. And so he immediately sent a message saying to members of Parliament, what is this constitutional amendment bill? What is there? What is there? And the first few that he sent from his party, NUP, had not seen the order paper, had not seen the bill, and they didn't respond. Then he sent it to another member of Parliament from a different party who sent the amendment. And so in terms of what the content is, we have been able to identify that it was, you know, amendments about the Uganda Human Rights Commission and the Equal Opportunities Commission and the Uganda Law Reform Commission. And so, yes, there are problems with that bill. I mean, there are issues to be raised about the merger between Equal Opportunities Commission with the Uganda Human Rights Commission, and also the case in court about Wangadia and the bribe. There are issues there. But I think for me, in terms of the forthcoming election season in Uganda, we have to start preparing now. Why? We have to start preparing now, even before we see the electoral reforms bill, because we know who Norbert Mao is. And so the person who's talked about the memorandum of understanding between dictator Yoweri Museveni and Norbert Mao is onto something that we know the nature of Norbert Mao in the past few years since the last elections. He's changed. He's changed from being DP, green proper, working for the people, even when he had questions about how he was leading DP, to being a man who is green and yellow, right? Very, very light green. Yes, because I'm green katini. I still believe if someone worked for the for the liberation of Uganda, he still remains a bit green. Alimuka light green katini na inachi yellow chinji. Yellow nyinji, ate yellow tekolede na Uganda. And so why the frame of mind of rejection is important is because we are already suspicious of a former activist, a former liberation struggle person, a former leader who was flawed. Norbert Mao is not perfect. He was flawed even in his leadership, even when he was a needy student. Or maybe he wasn't a needy student, it's someone else. In Makerere, there were always issues around his leadership, his style, right? But none of us is perfect. The real problem is when Norbert Mao gets into bed with NRM and he cuts some deals for himself and his people in DP who move with him to forge this memorandum of understanding. So he sells out. He sells out and he joins and he gets a fat position. So he's working for himself as well, you know, during very difficult post-COVID moments. So we're already suspicious of Norbert Mao. And the person who's talking about transition is also, the person raising the issue of transition is raising an important issue. So in terms of preparing, the work must have been done long time ago. Because to begin to prepare now is to begin to act late, is to begin to grope around. But Omoyogwa reject. So maybe not, we can't say we reject the electoral reforms before we see them. But tulimu moyo, tulimu frame of mind, tulimu, we are positioning ourselves strategically already, tactically too, to reject whatever electoral reforms come that do not serve us. And I think for me, to begin from a point of suspicion, we know you're in bed with the enemy. To begin from that point, before we even approve, Ellen Prezo, you said a lot of wonderful things. I think for me, what I'm hesitant to embrace is the idea that there are some electoral reforms we shall accept. I'm not giving any acceptance before I see. And I'm beginning, and I'm encouraging us to begin from a very suspicious point, which allows us and invites us, if we're not already critical, to be very, very critical. Be critical of what is presented. Be critical. And I think the cartoonists, that spirit of prophesying, they're calling us to start preparing our critique and criticism. And for me, before we even say, there may be some positive things, I want to say we begin from totally rejecting whatever is proposed because it won't be in our best interests. If we are surprised and we identify a few things, I don't know what can come from the enemy that will work for us. A poisoned apple is a poisoned apple. You can't tell me when you bite a little bit here, you might get some nutrients. So you take a small bite and get some nutrients. It's all poisoned. The system is poisoned to entrench dictatorship, to entrench Museveni's family rule, to entrench the powerlessness of Uganda. So I think for me that posture, the mental posture, the resistance posture of rejection, and they have to convince us there's something that's going to work for Ugandans in terms of the transition. We can't talk about transition to what? You know? And so when Suna says, I'm very skeptical about discussions of Museveni's death, I'm with you to an extent because, you know, if Museveni dies and there's no plan from us, the resistance against Museveni's entrenchment in power, it means that if we don't have a plan, their plans take the order of the day, and it's going to be as determined by the military, according to Muhoozi, if you believe in what Muhoozi says. But in terms of dynasty rule, that's how dynasties work. Museveni had his plan for long-term dynasty rule from him to his son to his grandson in place. You know, they're not just planning things. Mao is just a handmaiden. Mukozi aweereza buloka bwemba muzimba aweereza buloka abazimbi bo balina plan badesigninga dde ekintu kyabwe. The architectural structure was already built, and this man Mao becomes buloka yetika kalayi kusomba musenyu wano ne bamaze okuchapa eddongo okuchapa omuchanga n'abaleetera so kyaleeta bo badesigninga dda. And so I think for me that one of the things we must reposture Ugandans to do, those of us who believe we are placed wherever we are to influence public consciousness, public debate, public agenda, to set the agenda. Immediately kugamba nti ono Mao yagenda kuweereza abalikola mulimu gwabwe. Design yaabwe y'ekizimbe baakikola dda, tugenda kuba ne dynasty rule. Right? Ono akusitudde kalayi ya electoral reforms. Buweereza. It's also like, okay, if I don't use the metaphor of architecture and building, the other one I might choose is giving birth. Nti ono muzaalisa, Mao muzaalisa. Boba bezinazina dda ne bafuna olubuto ekintu ne bakiconceivinga kye baagala okukola kiri mu lubuto already, lubuto lwa Uganda, tugenda bafuga paka kuwulira tugenda bafuga tubafuge. And so Mao yetaze tazze kuteeka mu lubuto ekintu kyabwe bakikola dda kiri mu lubuto kirinze kuzaalibwa Mao muzaalisa and so bw'aba agenda tuzaalisiza Uganda ezaale timba endala etufuge nakyemalira azaale kannakyemalira akato katufuge kakontinuinge dynasty y'abachwezi gye batugamba. Mao ye, why the rejection is important is because Mao is aiding the birth. Oba kiyise transition, oba kiyise electoral reform, oba kiyise constitutional amendment, oba kiyise sesota ali mu kuzaala. Sesota ali mu kuzaala. Tushwenye n'ogusota, tusalako omutwe guno, guleeta guli. Tusalako guno, guleeta guli. Like omusota gulina emitwe, there's a monster called Hydra. He had so many snakes. When warriors were fighting, they'd cut off this head, then it brings corruption. You cut off corruption, then he brings abductions. You cut off abductions, he brings electoral rigging. You cut off rigging, he brings. This Hydra is now giving birth to a new baby monster. And all that Mao is, in my view, the minute Norbert Mao went to sleep with the enemy, he became a vehicle, a conduit, a midwife. Muchuba aweereza, muchuba, ali ku site aweereza, situbakalayiza semiti. Zamuchanga, bamala doctor chintu kyabwe. So the rejection for me is not a rejection of electoral reforms or an amendment bill or anything. It's a rejection of the continuation of Museveni's dynasty. Right? And I think for me, if we understand that Mao is just a vehicle, Mao manabumana egenda kuzaala ekyateekebwa dda mu lubuto. Okay? Musonyi wa bawe mlanekamba we mule mutegeere.
Simbula nalongo.
Mana. Nga nannyini kintu. Mao manabumana, he's just a conduit. Oba Mao belt, conveyor belt, amaanyi conveyor belt. Kisipi kireeta buleesi kintu kyabali bakifumba dda. Museveni bafumba dda ekintu kyabwe. So posterior rejection is to identify critically this time but she say electoral reforms. This time but she say constitutional amendment. This time but she say this. It is a renaming of something that has been there. There's a monster called Museveni's dynasty rule. Okay? If we don't identify for ourselves and our people and the consciousness of Uganda's liberation struggle, why the problem is not fresh. It's not a new problem. It's the problem we've had for the last 38 years. Okay? That the last 38 years of this dynasty entrenching itself. So rejection for me is a posture of those of us who have been in the liberation struggle, saying, we know what you're bringing. Anyone who sits and signs a memorandum of understanding moves away from DP that we knew that fought against the colonizers. Fought through all those Idi Amin times, fought through Milton Obote times, fought through. DP has been loyal to the people to a large extent, right? But to transfer and move away from that DP, sleep in bed with Museveni to the point of getting a fat job, we know what you're doing, Mao. So it's not a rejection of the amendment I have not yet seen. It's not a rejection of the constitutional bill. It's a posture of saying, tubadde tubalwanisa, twabalwana, tukyabalwanyisa, era tugaana n'okugaana kwonna, ne sekugaana kwonna. We reject with a passion any renaming, any cooking, any basikasika kyagaga. Nogamba twina, we have our leftovers of akatoko kaffe tubadde tukalya dda tusikesikeko kabere fresh. Kwe kuleeta ekintu mu parliament. Naye ng'ekintu kigenda ku entrenching Museveni, entrenching kitegeeza agenda kulemerako, kimuyamba kulemerako.
Nalongo nsaba kujjamu katono nnyo mama.
Naye nze mbadde mmaliriza.
Nedda katono nnyo mali osigala nakwogera nze.
Kale jangu.
Suna nabagambye nti ajje kawungeezi nga tumaliriza. Suna nagambye tuve okutunulira pawns ku chessboard, tudealinge na chessboard as the constitution. Then ngenda okusanga no heading ziri ku Mao. Who is Mao? For the God's sake, who is Mao? Mama babulidde who Mao is. Mutuuke mutuuse endowooza zammwe, learn things. Mutuuse endowooza zammwe, muleme kukola bintu nga babikola ebbanga lyonna. Kitusubidde mu mbeera gye tubaddemu. Mao is nothing, is a damn nothing. Ne mama kyabagambye kyali si kyali talina. You people, wabagamba omukyalo ono nti it's reject. We are rejecting whatever they are bringing because they have nothing else to bring. Okujja kwe batula mu busaana bwabwe ne bateesa, ne babikuba plan, ne babitamza ati n'omwana omuzzukulu abyonka abimanyi. Otunulira Mao is Mao, gotera ku mugundi waggulu. So now we don't want to go astray. Like I wouldn't be talking because I've been so quiet for a long time. I know these things for a very, very long time. Nenga mbadde nasirika. It was only ne kituka kisusse. Ne tujja okugenda tuna kuogera abantu, tuna kuba kusunga tusijise. So na zikinuma okuda wano nga discussing Mao. Who is Mao? Okujja konga fena like we are made to think of the stereotype that is there. Jibatembira mu bula mu bugombo bwitawe trolls and those are the powers and those are the people that be basanidde. Mama, go on. Thank you.
Kamogoyagala nkuzaale nze ndabeegana siri maama wammwe. Anyway, but yes, yeah. So you raise an important question. Who is Mao? And I think there are two ways of seeing this in terms of calling us to get involved. So Kamoga ye yatuuka dda yagamba nze omulabe mumanyi oba omusota guzze gwambadde boarding oba omusota guzze gulinnye kakondo omusota gusigala mu musota oba this time gwambadde jeans gusigala musota oba enta omusota gujja kwambala suuti gusigala ki musota. So Kamoga ye yatuuka dda gye mbadde ngamba. So why I wanted to speak to the spirit of let's not reject before we see. We have been seeing these things. Museveni is very, very crafty. And when I say Museveni, I mean the whole system, okay? That the system that has kept him in power is very crafty. Tomorrow they'll bring parliament. But again, what's parliament? Hey, Museveni. That's why when for me I'm marching against Anita Among, I'm marching to State House, okay? This time bagana kuleta Mao. Omusota gwambadde kapale ka green, kalina yellow. They say electoral reforms, this my constitution bichi. But the real enemy, Kamoga ye yatuuka dda. Yatuuka dda omusota yagulabira ye wagulabira waguba tente era wagube tente era when he identifies this is a Museveni dotted thing, he already knows back mutwe. Okay? And so I think for me the lesson from the title rejecting Norbert Mao's amendment, the lesson if I was teaching today I would say actually you know what guys, reject reject bagana reject okwebaza yesu twali tugamba twebaza ki you reject buli kyakola reject kubanga tewali kintu kyagenda tukolera kirungi. So the rejection spirit Ellen Prezo oba okyali oyo n'omukono okyawanisa oba Ellen Prezo for me what I'm calling us to is to Kamoga gyali bakamoga bo baatuuka dda ago ge maje oba ge gali frontline defenders be bali bagenda bire mundu abo bakamoga kubanga bo ekintu kyonna kyonna ekijjanga kyefaananyizaamu Museveni bakuba ku mutwe okay baakiraba dda. And I think fe abalala kati Kamoga be patient with us fe abalala fe twetaaga bakatunists abayimbi abasomesa batukwata empolampola ku mukono batulage nti Anita Among sente zabbye mu palamenti sente zammwe mugende mukumbe. Fe twetaaga mpolampola okujjukizibwa Mao yakola memorandum of understanding kati bino byonna byaleeta. So waliwo abamu abalabirawo Museveni n'obubiibwe mu buli kijja mu gavumenti waliwo abalala nga twetaaga kukwatibwa mpolampola. So okusomesa kuli important. I think what Ellen Dada yagambye nga tutandika space on Ellen Dada said why must you go teaching people? Many Ugandans already know. That is true. Many Ugandans already know. But we need to remind ourselves and remind our brothers, sisters, neighbors, Ugandans, that the enemy we have repackages himself in so many different layers. Ebintu byaba Mao byabasoma gundi mateeka ebyo bya constitutional amendment luli togikwatako bagikwatako luli simanya biki babikola. But to be able to call people and say nakino ekya Mao nakyo kya Museveni is important. So waliwo omuntu ajja okutya okujjabo omugamba mujje tulwanise Museveni jangu tugende tulwanise Museveni naye omugamba jangu tukwate ku Mao aleeta byonna byamanyi ku Mao ne DP n'olugendo lwa Mao lwonna nagamba eno space yange. And so I think for me that those of us who are the brainchild of Uganda twasalawo dda nti fe tulowooleza Uganda fe tulaga Uganda entunnusi y'omutima gwa Uganda bweyina okuba. We're the ones who determine the heartbeat of Uganda nti bannayuganda muve kwogera katogo leero twogere ku Mao nti fe tulina okumanya ki kye tugamba bannayuganda. So spirit ya rejection, you reject. March to parliament was a rejection. Anita must resign was a rejection. Bino ebirala oba Anita oba Mao oba ani tuyige okubirabamu Museveni. If we identify Museveni in these different postures nti ogusota leero gujjidde mu miniskirt ne kagondo omusota leero bannaye bagwambazza kanzu naye gwe gusota gwa Museveni gwennyini, then omutima gwa rejection oba posture ya rejection oba frame of mind ya rejection eba nnyangu nti bajja kuwa promotion bagambe bambi okoledde emyaka 5 tolina promotion jangu mu linnya lya Museveni tujja kuwa omulimu kasi tukolera campaign ku space zo. Bw'olaba nti ogenda kupromotinga ase bannayuganda kumala emyaka I don't know how many more than 38 zabaddenga president, you immediately know nti ogwo gusotanga okuba ku mutwe. And I think for me that calling us to reject Mao sooner is it's an invitation nti banaye mujje Museveni kuluna zaa afaanananga Mao leero tazenga akuba mundu tazenga abajerega fenga abaganda. This time Museveni has come dressed as Mao. This time Museveni is coming and he's going to present the dynasty agenda in parliament as an amendment bill. Tewali kye mutunuulira oba amendment oba oyo Museveni azze tupamira atupamidde akomewo kupama. Mwetegeke okupamirwa mwasame emimwa mupamirwe mu mire mwetegeke kubanga abamu bagenda tupamira ogenda okurealizing nti oh my god it was Museveni all along. Wamira Kazambi wa regime. How much longer are we going to allow our people to swallow the poo-poo from Museveni and his dynasty? Okay. And for me, the vulgar language makes you disgusted so that you can realize, oh my God. So, but I think for me, elections in 2026, if they're going to happen, according to the map of Electoral Commission, we have some time. But we're very, very late.
Nalongo, by this time next year tujja kuba tuli mu campaign.
Christmas olugwa oyinza okubagamba tuli mu campaign abantu abeesimbawo batandika dde okufundraising nali nakajja Germany naje Germany mu 2022 nenjogera ne Mohamed Nsereko nambalira nga tuli myezi nga nkaaga 60 months. Okay, no, I think nagera naye nga tuyingira 2022. Okay, nambalira akaseera nangamba nti olwamaliriza elections mu 5 years ezo ze mwali muyina okuva mu January 2021 lwe mwakuba akalulu okutusole mugenda okuddamu mwina 60 months okunoonya ssente okwetegeka 60 months nti baba maliriza okwetegeka basomye results aba Electoral Commission bya omusajja erinnya ligenze asoma results
byabakama